When I was 23, I went completely deaf in my right ear overnight. I just woke up one morning and it was gone. And the moment that the doctors told me that it was permanent or likely would be, I knew exactly why it happened because I wasn't listening to myself. So my body just said, "Deuces, babe, you don't need your hearing anymore," apparently. And because I had spent so many years asking everyone else what I should do about my relationship, my mom, my friends, my boss at work, God, I was like trying to tap into all of my resources while completely ignoring what my body was trying to tell me. And so today I'm sharing that story and what it taught me about the cost of seeking permission from everyone else except yourself. Do you know in your bones that you're meant for a life that feels free and expansive? Are you ready for a conscious relationship that honors every facet of who you are as a woman, partner, mama, professional, and everything in between? If so, you're in the right place. I'm Kaya Dawn, a conscious relationship and shadow work guide who helps high achieving, spiritual minded women trust their body's wisdom and create partnerships where they feel just as supported as they are supportive. Lace up those sneakers, babe, and let's go on a hot girl walk together to dish about what it means to be the woman behind it all. I wanted to remind you about the giveaway that I'm hosting for hitting 50 episodes soon. We are 2 episodes away. Can you believe it? And I want to give away a $25 Amazon gift card. And if you want to get your shop on, then all you have to do is leave a review of this podcast on either Spotify or Apple. Take a screenshot of it, share it in your Instagram stories, and be sure to tag me to be entered into winning that gift card. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing it on your stories, then there's going to be a Google form inside of the show notes that you can upload your screenshot to, fill out your information so that you can be entered to win. And so, thank you so much for being on this journey with me. I'm so excited to do this. And I just really want to celebrate each and every one of you who tune in and listen to me on the reg, or if you are new here, thank you and welcome. And to really shower one lucky person with a gift card to Amazon to show my appreciation for your support and love. So, thank you again so much in advance, and I can't wait to see who the winner is. All right, all right, all right. We have another episode that I think you're going to love because we are talking about what happens when you spend years seeking answers from everyone except yourself and why your body will do whatever it takes to make you finally listen. Because if you've been asking everyone else what you should do about your relationship, your mom, your friends, your therapist, God, while ignoring what your body is screaming at you, this episode is going to show you why that pattern is keeping you stuck and what happens when you finally start trusting yourself instead. You'll see how the questions of, am I overreacting? Am I crazy? Are really just red flags showing you that you're about to override your truth. And really, I want you to learn how to validate yourself first so that you can stop fragmenting yourself from your intuition, from your inner knowing. But before we get into that, I want to let you know that if you are resonating with me and really leaning into this space of like, I need something to help me learn to trust my body over everyone else's opinions, on Monday, I just released my body wisdom guide to help you do exactly that. Inside, you're going to get the map that shows you exactly where fear lives versus where knowing lives in your body. So you can stop confusing anxiety with intuition. And you get the 60-second practice for checking in with your body before you respond in conflict, situations, experiences, so that you can learn how to distinguish your body's truth from your mind's fear and stop asking everyone else what you should do when your body already knows. If I'd had this practice 12 years ago, I might not have lost hearing in my ear from my body trying to get me to listen. But you don't have to wait for your body to shut something down like I did. You can listen now. So download it from the link in the show notes and come hang out with me on Instagram too if we're not already connected, where I share more content like this every week to support you in really coming home to yourself. But now let's get into the nitty gritty about the day that my body made me listen because I wouldn't listen any other way. So, like I said, I was 23 years old and I woke up one morning around 4 or 5 a.m. to go to the bathroom, and I was walking leaning over to one side. My balance was completely off, but I thought I was just sleepy, because it was like super early in the morning. So I just went back to bed. And then a few hours later, I got up for work. And at this time, I was waiting tables at a barbecue restaurant in Oklahoma. Shout out to Rib Crib. And I couldn't really hear that well. Like it was busy. It's a restaurant, right? There's like background music going on. It's pumping. It's a Sunday after church. And it was just really loud. And I just kept asking my friends, like, hey, will you like say something in this ear? And I just like, kept like rubbing it. You know how you might like rub into the pocket of your ear. And I was like, I can't hear you guys. Like, I don't know. And they were all making fun of me, but I was like, I don't know what's going on. And so, anyways, I just kept working because I was in the middle of a shift. And I thought maybe I had gotten water in my ear or something. I don't know. It was weird. And it wasn't until a week later when I finally got into an audiologist that they told me I was completely deaf in my right ear. I was the youngest and worst case that they had ever seen, and it had to do with a sensory nerve issue. And the nerve was damaged. So I couldn't get a hearing aid, I couldn't get surgery, I couldn't get a cochlear implant because it none of those things would work, right? It's a nerve problem. And they said my hearing might come back fully or partially, or it might not. And that was 12 years ago, and I'm still deaf in my right ear. And so here's the thing whenever they told me I'd lost my hearing, I knew exactly why, similar to my miscarriage. And it all came down to me not listening to myself. And this happened during one of the peaks of my ex-husband's addiction. I had like so much stuff happen all at once during this time period because I was in survival mode every day. I was walking on eggshells. I was trying to manage his emotions. I was trying to fix everything while my body was screaming at me that this wasn't safe. I needed to leave. I needed to end it. And yet I still couldn't do it. And this was during my very religious phase. And so I was praying constantly, asking God to help me. I'm pretty sure I got baptized during this phase. And I was just really leaning into God to please help him, please fix him, please release him from this addiction, please fix us, just make it work somehow because he was a great guy. He's still a great guy. And I knew his heart that he was just battling internal demons. But I was really, really struggling, obviously, in addition to him. And I didn't know how to handle this without enabling him and also how to speak my truth and have boundaries and just all of this. Like it was just so hard. It was one of the most challenging seasons of my life, in addition to my miscarriage season. And so, during this time, I was talking to God and I was asking everyone for advice, my mom, my sister, my boss, my friends, anyone who would listen to me process the same situation over and over again, essentially like a broken record. And you know what I got back? Just pray about it. God has a plan. Marriage is hard and you just have to work through it. And I wanted to scream. All of this was spiritual bypassing that didn't actually help me. From my recollection, not one person asked me what I truly wanted or needed. Not one person asked me what my body was trying to tell me. They asked me what he was doing. They asked if I'd tried this technique or that approach. They asked if I was praying enough. But nobody asked me, what does your body know that you're too scared to admit? So my body took away the one sense that I was using to seek external validation, my hearing. So from then on, there was this fundamental shift in my psyche, in my biochemistry, in my body, in my knowing that I couldn't turn to other people for their advice anymore. I could really only do my best to tune into my own truth. And honestly, losing my hearing was the beginning of learning to trust myself because when you can't hear what everyone else is saying, you're forced to listen to what you're truly feeling. And so I went on this journey for the next however many years, learning to trust my body signals, like the tight chest, the dropped stomach, the way my nervous system would go into shutdown whenever he came home in a certain mood or told me he was going to the store, but then he was gone for like an hour and a half. And every time I felt those things, I had this choice. Was I going to override what I was sensing and asking everyone else if I was overreacting about, or was I going to finally trust my body that it was giving me accurate information. And full transparency, this was a process. It was a massive learning curve because I had a lot of deconditioning to do. And it took me another 7 years after losing my hearing to finally leave that marriage. And in that time, I had my miscarriage, and that was another pivotal point in my journey. And so it was this practice of like 7 years of learning to trust myself, 7 years of learning to validate my own experience instead of seeking permission for everyone else. It was 7 years of learning to stop making myself wrong for feeling the way that I felt and stop making my body wrong for giving me the correct information about what was actually true for me. And that's why I do this work now, because I don't want you to lose a sense like your hearing or your eyesight, literally or metaphorically, before you learn to trust your body. I don't want your thyroid to explode before you start listening and saying the things that you need to say, and so on and so forth. I don't want you to spend years of asking everyone else what you should do whenever you and your body already knows. I want to be the person who asks you, what do you truly feel like you want or you need in your relationship? What is your body trying to tell you? What are you afraid to admit? Because those are the questions that would have saved me years of pain and turmoil and inner fragmentation. And so, if no one else in your life is going to ask you those questions, I'm asking you now. What is your body trying to tell you that you've been overriding? Because this is absolutely where we need to start. And I do want to let you know that this isn't your fault that you were trained to seek external validation and to distrust yourself, but it is your responsibility to rekindle this relationship with yourself and learn to honor and trust yourself above all else. And really, when it comes down to it, you weren't born to need everyone else's opinion before trusting your own. You were trained through childhood experiences, religious programming, spiritual bypassing, and watching women before you abandon themselves to seek external answers instead of trusting their internal knowing, your internal knowing. Because when you're raised in environments that teach you that God's voice matters more than your own intuition, and that you can't trust yourself, or that being nice matters more than being honest, you learn that your internal compass is less reliable than external guidance. And whenever your feelings are repeatedly dismissed or spiritually bypassed enough times, you stop trusting that what you're sensing in your nervous system, in your heart, in your truth, in your soul is valid. And I'm not here to completely knock religion. There are some really beautiful aspects of having a spiritual relationship with something bigger than ourselves. However, you are God. You are consciousness. You are co creating with the energy and the entity that created the entire world, earth, space, universe, everything. And whenever you put this external context on it, that you are separate from that, then that's where the fragmentation comes in, and you are exporting your power to someone or something else rather than realizing that you are God, you are it, you are the conscious creator of your reality, you are the meat sack vehicle in which consciousness is manifesting through, instead of having yourself viewed as separate and less than in this hierarchy of possibility and manifestation, if you will. And so I know that these are my own personal perspectives, and it's not necessarily true for everybody, but based on my previous experience of being really, heart and head deep into religion and hearing just pray about it instead of being asked what I actually feel, instead of hearing God has a plan for you, and dismissing my current pain and what I was really experiencing and going through, and hearing marriage is hard and you have to work through it when it's overriding my body signals, or hearing have more faith, implying that my doubt is a spiritual failing, not valid information. It really perpetuates the story that being taught to seek God's answer outside of myself instead of trusting my own body's wisdom is where I have an issue with all of that messaging versus what I truly knew in my bones. And so take what you want, leave what you don't. But that's my 2 cents on this. And I'm sharing this from the truth of my heart and from my wounds of what I've experienced, because I was in one of the deepest crises of my life, and all of my praying and reaching out to God didn't actually truly give me what I needed, which was honesty and honoring of myself. And so I feel like this is really important to share because maybe some of you have also experienced this kind of religious conditioning and bypassing and trauma, perhaps, that I think is important to talk about. And so maybe you resonate with this, maybe you don't, but literally, if your body is screaming, get out, and you're trying to pray harder or ask for more people for help or read books and anything except trusting what you already know, that's the issue. And I think that's really where you need to look. And there's also other ways that we have been culturally conditioned to override our truth or feel like we're overreacting whenever it's totally valid how we feel. Like how women's intuition has become dismissed as emotional or irrational, that logic and external advice are valued over our felt experience. Also, that good women, in quotation, good women don't trust their gut, they trust authority figures. And seeking permission is seen as humble, and trusting yourself is seen as selfish, which all kind of happens subconsciously, but yet we play into these things, right? Like we see it in media and different aspects like that. And it's just not true for us. And also, this conditioning shows up in watching other women in our life ask everyone else what to do, or, not speak up whenever we know that they have something to say, and watching them override their truth to maintain relationships, or learning that self sacrifice is love instead of massively compromising your truth and your being and your needs and your values and everything that you need inside your relationship to feel safe. And also witnessing them stay in relationships or situations that their bodies were literally rejecting. And so the result of this is like you can literally see whenever someone is low energy and low vibe and sick and have eye bags or facing health issues. And if you know anything about their relationship and you can like read into the energy dynamics of their partnership, then you know exactly where it's coming from, right? And granted, this is nuanced. It might not be just that. However, from me observing relationships over the years and looking at those subtler energetics that are playing out whenever someone tells me that, oh my gosh, I have cancer now, or oh my gosh, I'm running into thyroid issues, or I have gout, or whatever, it's like, oh, well, what's going on behind the scenes in your relationship? That's where my brain goes, because likely they have asked everyone else for advice or opinions or books or podcasts or YouTube videos for the answers instead of trusting themselves. Or they've just stayed quiet their entire life and never truly been honest to anyone or anything about what's actually going on between them and in their heart and in the relationship and in their body. And so they have gotten sick internally. The issues are in the tissues, babies, right? And so, in my eyes, the answer to that is to acknowledge how you're truly feeling and take ownership of that and be completely honest with yourself first before you're even honest with anyone else. And it really is this coming home to yourself and letting how you feel be okay, letting what you need in your relationship be okay. Stop making yourself wrong for wanting these things or wanting to raise your standards and be, have this reciprocal relationship that will help you feel safe, because that's what it comes down to, whether you feel safe or not. And your body is creating these physical manifestations just like it did mine because you don't feel safe in your relationship. And so pay attention, listen deeper, be honest, go there. Oh, my babe, I hope you can feel me coming through because I am so passionate about this because of all of the loss that I've experienced in my life. It has been for this purpose, for me to help you to not experience the same kind of things I've experienced. We can do better. You deserve better. Even if it means just listening to yourself more deeply, that's exactly where you need to start. And so, whew, I'm going to pull myself down from the soapbox and calm down real quick. And we will go in to the next point, to where we're talking about what overriding or overreacting actually means. Because if you've heard that you're too emotional, you need to calm down, you need to be quiet, you need to sit down and be quiet, right? It goes back to childhood. Or maybe you've been gaslit in your current relationship to where you're being labeled as overreactive. My love, that is gaslighting language. It's a way of dismissing your experience by making it about the size of your reaction rather than the validity of your feelings. Because when someone says you're overreacting or you're too emotional, what they're really saying is your response is making me uncomfortable. So I need you to minimize your experience to manage my discomfort. And it's really not about you being too much, because you're not. It's about them not being able to hold space for your truth, for your expression, for your experience. So, this whole experience can look like something happens that makes you feel off or triggers you. And so your body goes into this response to where your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your shoulders tense, your breath shallows, and you express your feeling or set a boundary. And then they respond with, "You're overreacting," or "You always do this," or "Jesus Christ, you're being too sensitive. It's not that serious," right? That is gaslighting, but it might make you immediately doubt yourself and have you think, maybe I am being dramatic. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm the problem. And so then you apologize for having this reaction, therefore leading you to overriding what you felt and what you know to be true in your body and in your heart, and then accommodating them instead. And if that sounds familiar, I love you and I'm sorry. And there is a way to support yourself through this in the future that is more aligned with what you truly want and need in your relationship. So here's what's actually happening in this scenario: your nervous system is reading the energetic reality of the situation. Maybe it's reading dismissiveness, maybe it's reading emotional unavailability, passive aggression, a pattern that keeps repeating, and also fundamental incompatibility. And it's responding appropriately to what it's sensing. Congratulations, your body and your nervous system are functioning properly to give you the information of what you need to know about the truth and the energetics of your relationship. But because you've been trained to distrust your body, you think, maybe I'm just making this up. Maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I did something wrong. No. Your body is giving you accurate information. It's just the other person is calling you overreactive because they don't want to look at or acknowledge or take responsibility for what you're actually responding to. And it takes two to tango, right? It's like you're not crazy. There's a dynamic here that you're energetically attuned to and that your spirit and your heart are conveying, but maybe they just don't have the capacity for it for various reasons. And so, really, in this entire situation, it comes down to you going from this place of self abandonment to self trust. And that is the antidote to questioning yourself, is learning to trust your body's signals as valid information without needing external validation. Because the questioning is the abandonment, babe. Every time you ask, am I overreacting? You're prioritizing someone else's comfort over your truth. You're seeking permission from someone else outside of you to trust what you're feeling inside yourself. Like, that permission, it has to come from you, babe. And so, how to start trusting yourself again starts with noticing when you're asking these questions. Am I overreacting? Am I being too sensitive? Is this really that bad, or am I just being dramatic? You have to pay attention to when those come up in your head or when you say those questions, because those are the red flags that indicate that you're about to override your truth. And so instead, whenever you notice those, that is great. It's beautiful. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just information, right? We're coming from this observer perspective. And in that moment, you get to reframe that question. And instead of asking, am I overreacting? You can ask, what is my body trying to tell me? What information is this feeling giving me right now? What is actually coming through here? And am I honoring that truth, or am I managing someone else's comfort? Am I trying to make someone else feel better in this situation by overriding my truth? And so this shift will be able to go from needing that external validation to trusting your internal information, right? Like that call that's coming from inside the house. And this is where, in that moment to moment, in that breath to breath, in that day to day practice, where you really start to tune into what is actually being communicated to you, and you can validate yourself in your emotions, in your feelings, in your sensations. And it happens over time. It's a continued practice, which is why I created that body wisdom guide to support you in really identifying where the energy in your body is coming from and how to distinguish whether it's coming from fear and lack and scarcity and unsafety, or if it's coming from love and trust and abundance and this deep internal knowing of safety that you have yourself. And it really comes through validating yourself in this practice as well. It's like you have to acknowledge it, you have to recognize what's going on, and then you have to validate yourself. And so before you seek anyone else's opinion, before you journal about it, before you call your friend, I want to invite you to pause and to say, it's okay to feel this way. My body is giving me information, and I don't need to justify these feelings to anyone. I just get to validate them within myself. You get to then stop apologizing for your body's wisdom when you should be embracing it and being grateful for it, right? Your body is not hysterical. Your body is not dramatic. Your body is not too much. It's usually your mind that gets hysterical and dramatic and thinks are too much. But that is brain trash. That is fear. That is lack. That is ego. That is scarcity. That is imagination of the worst case scenario. That is lizard brain. That is telling you that you're wrong whenever you're not wrong. And your heart and your truth and your soul and your body is a highly sophisticated system that's been reading people and environments since you were born. And even before then, as your nervous system was being developed in utero, right? It knows things before your mind catches up. It senses things that your conscious awareness misses because your body and your nervous system is literally taking in 11 million or billion bits of information at one time, whenever only 5 to 10% of that is actually being consciously processed, because you can't consciously process 11 billion bits of information at one time. However, the subtler energetics of your body and the different planes of existence that exist that we can't see or touch or taste or feel, they're communicating with you all day, every day. And so it's really about when your body says something is off, something's off. And you might not know exactly what it might be. You might not be able to articulate it logically. You might not have proof, but your body knows. And trusting that knowing, even before you understand it, is how you stop abandoning yourself. Your body will make you listen eventually. And what I want you to know is that if you keep overriding your body's signals, your body will eventually make the choice for you, just like it did in mine. It might be through illness, injury, chronic pain, autoimmune responses, infertility, or in my case, literally losing your hearing, right? And this matters because you have been taught to think that your body is not valid, but it is not the enemy. I promise. It is literally trying to protect you. And when you won't listen to the whispers, it has to scream. And when you won't listen to the screams, it has to shut something down. And losing my hearing was my body's last resort, at least at that time, to get me to listen, because it had been sending me signals for years that the panic attacks, the insomnia, the constant tension in my shoulders, the sinking feeling in my gut, the constriction in my heart and in my soul, I kept overriding all of that. And so my body took away my hearing that I was using to seek everyone else's validation. And it literally made me unable to hear their advice anymore. And that was one of the most loving things that my body could have ever done for me, to be completely honest, because it forced me to start listening to myself. It forced me to start to feel my truth instead of asking for permission for it. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to have to lose something before you learn to trust yourself. I want you to hear the whispers before your body has to scream. And so please listen. I hope you can hear my passion and my urgency in this, because I love you so much, maybe even more than you love yourself, just because I know what it feels like to be in that place of feeling crazy and feeling insignificant and feeling like, you can't trust yourself and your world is falling apart and your body is shutting down, because it might be, but it doesn't have to be that way. And because I chose to listen to myself, even if it took more years than it probably should have. My journey is perfect. It all unfolded just perfectly for me, just like it is for you. But now I have an incredible, loving, ooshy gushy, sweet, respectful, reciprocal, safe relationship. And I know that's possible for you. Your life and your relationships are meant to feel expansive. And I want that for you more than anything else, because it is the most healing thing ever. And while I still don't have my hearing back, I may or may not ever get that back. I'm safe now, and I know that I won't ever experience anything like that in the future, because I listen. I do my damnedest to listen to what my body is trying to tell me, and I pray and hope and urge you to do the same. And so let's recap really quickly. You weren't born to question yourself. You were trained through childhood, religious or spiritual bypassing, through cultural conditioning to seek external validation instead of trusting what you feel. And that training is still running every time you ask someone else what you should do when, baby, you already know. Also, overreacting or being told that you're overreacting is gaslighting that dismisses your experience. And if you're doing it to yourself, it's really important to pay attention to that, because when it comes down to it, your body is reading the energetic reality accurately, and someone else's discomfort is not more valid than your truth. And so don't make your truth invalid. Make it a fucking ruthless thing that you listen to and honor above all else, so that you can stop abandoning yourself by noticing when you're questioning yourself. And then you can reframe that question, validate yourself first, stop apologizing for your body's wisdom because that is sacred information, and understanding that your body will make you listen eventually if you keep overriding it. And so don't be like me. Don't go deaf in your right ear. Don't lose a baby at 5 months pregnant. Really ask yourself, what do I truly feel like I need or I want right now in my relationship, in my life? What is your body trying to tell you? And what have you potentially been overriding because it's been scary to look at? Please look at it. And while it's okay to reach out for support because we are tribal beings, and I know you love your mom, and I know you like to talk to your friends, and I know you like to read books, and you like to do all this stuff. And what does your body know? Because that's really where your wisdom lies and where the safety that you seek is coming from. It's coming from inside of you. And when you can learn to answer and listen to that call, your life is going to shift from the inside out. And so if you haven't already, please download my free body wisdom guide in the notes. It teaches you exactly how to distinguish your body's truth from your mind's fear. And the activation practices in there can be a really beautiful support for you on this journey of really attuning and honoring your body's wisdom over your mind's spinning, racing thoughts. And so thank you for being here so much. I love you. Thank you for going inside yourself and really answering the call that's coming from inside the house, and for being brave enough to truly listen and honor and trust yourself again. I am so proud of you, and I can't wait to catch you again in the next episode. But between now and then, as always, be brave, not perfect, and I'll catch you again soon. I hope this episode reminded you that life and love are supposed to feel safe and expansive, and gave you clarity on the next right step you can take in your relationship. If so, please take 30 seconds to leave a review. Each one helps get this content into the ears and hearts of women just like you. I'm excited to hang out again soon, having more conversations on how to create the relationships you've always dreamed of. Keep following what feels expansive, babe. You're so worthy of it all.